So, Jeannie.
Hi.
Hi. Talk to me.
Yes.
I want to know about your invites for your wedding.
Oh my God. One of my favorite parts of my wedding was choosing my invites. It really was, actually. I'm not kidding. I still have my invitation in my little china cabinet upstairs.
Of course you do.
Of course I do, because it's that pretty and it's so me. I went to I knew she you know what?
You have so much going on in your head right now.
I know, because I have so much to say about it. She was a friend of a friend. She was an acquaintance, actually, and she has her own business. And I went there and I sat with her for like 2 hours, and she spent so much time with me, and we designed it together, really.
And it comes down to like paper, font.
It was very detailed. It was
how many different components are going in the envelope.
Yep. So
all
much.
of that.
She put a little pearl on there for me. Oh my God.
I love
it was so
that.
Pretty. It was
how
like
special.
Yes. How about you?
The reason I'm asking what it was like is because you had an invite. We did. No. We went digital, fully digital, which makes perfect sense because you know about our wedding. Like,
yes.
We picked and chose what to focus on, and invites. Frank won that battle.
Yeah.
He actually did a really cool version of an invite, which was a digital movie poster looking like we were in a film, and it was like, 2 lives, 1 story.
Dramatic.
Like all this intense, very dramatic. And it had like us, very serious faces. But it was cool. It got great response. The only problem with it was 2 things. One, I don't have what you have. I don't have that invite in a china cabinet. I don't even have a china cabinet. So, but I don't have it framed. I don't have it in a special keepsake box. We have it online. And then the other thing
china
is
cabinet is not you. I feel, right?
No.
Not even a little bit.
We
couldn't be opposite.
No, I'm not china cabinet.
Yeah.
My home is like, no china cabinet. So, here's the thing: is it was a problem with elderly residents who are not on the internet. They had no idea how to RSVP, if they were invited, if they weren't invited.
So, did you call them up?
It was a phone call. It was like, here's the thing: we didn't do an invite. Like, you are absolutely invited. And they're like, well, how do we get the information? Like, I don't know. So anyway, we tried, and we do have a great like digital version of it to move forward. His design was really cool, but that was definitely a regret, as I didn't have a very special invite. So
but
I want to learn more.
I was going to say, you guys are actors, so it really aligned with who you were,
That's
the
right.
description of it. But yes,
I
want to
learn.
The
drama.
Even though I went through the process, I'm going to be the first to admit this. I really don't remember much about it. All I know is that my invitation is beautiful. I don't regret anything. And there was a lot of paper in it, and it was a lot involved when we picked it out. And it wasn't cheap, but I don't care because I don't regret anything about it.
I love it.
Yes. So let's learn more. Welcome to our podcast, So You're Engaged.
Now what?
We're going to be talking with Marlie from Marlie Renee Designs. Hi, Marlie.
Hey, ladies.
Hi.
How are you?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome to my studio.
Yes.
Oh, your studio. So is your studio attached to your house, or you have a non-attached studio?
I have a home studio, which also means I have an office mascot, who's my dog.
Aww.
Who I have a little bed under my desk, and I say that she's the wedding planning therapy dog. So people just pet her. And
I love it. What kind of dog?
Our wedding. She's like a beagle mix. She's kind of just like a mystery, but I like it that way.
So cute. Natasha has Sadie that sits at her feet. Right,
That's
Tash?
right. Yep, I sure do. So she's a yep, there she is. I can't take the camera because my whole setup here will completely fall. But she's huge. She's almost as big as I am, and she's smarter than we are, and ruling the roost around here. We've had her for about 2 months.
Oh, puppy.
She's a year and a half. Yeah, we rescued her, but she is super, super smart, and we're still getting to know each other too, because it's I refer to it as kind of like an arranged marriage. Like you just, here you are, you're living in our home.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get to know each other's likes and dislikes and habits. So we're in that
Well, you
phase.
well, you have treats, so I'm sure like she'll come along quickly.
Yeah.
Just feed her, rub her belly, tell her she's
Totally
beautiful.
food obsessed.
Aw.
Absolutely love it. So anyway, we let's talk invitations. We were speaking before you joined us just a moment ago about the contrast Jean having, the works of her invitation. We went totally free and digital, which is now a regret of ours. So tell us a little bit about you as well. How did you get into this business?
So Marlie Renee Designs was started. It started in 2013 loosely, like starting to just design for friends. So at the time, I was at a full-time job and I wasn't really doing something creative, and I had all this creative energy built up that I knew I needed to release. And one of my best friends, who I was actually in her wedding, she was looking online for save the dates, and was like frustrated by the process because she couldn't find something that really spoke to her and her fiance at the time. And I have a background in graphic design, so I studied media arts and design in college, and I was missing it a little bit, and also just missing. At the time, I have a background in marketing as well, but I wasn't. I was doing like product development, like super techy, not my world. And I was like, let me take a stab at doing your save the dates. Let me try something. Tell me a little about what's not working with what you're seeing online, and how can I help fit that. And did her save the date. She loved that. I loved it. So then I started asking some coworkers, did some invitations. And then it was a little bit of, as I would see people changing their status on Facebook to engaged, I would reach out and be like, hey, I'm kind of doing a thing. Do you need some help? So then 2014, I actually established it as Marlie Renee Designs, named after me. That's me, my first name, middle name. So I guess like my parents had a little bit to do with the company origin. And yeah, just went from there. Like it started off as a hobby, quickly became a passion, and like any relationship, I don't have an actual date. Like it kind
Yeah.
of was just like kind of just happened. And
The best way. The
There's
best
something
way.
to be
Natural.
said.
yeah.
I just have to pause for a second because we have had different guests on. You said you listened to a couple of our episodes that are out there, and one of the things is we always start by, because we want to know what brought you to this. Did you school for it? Did you set out to do this? Was it a family business that you sort of were brought into it? And with the exception of maybe one or two people that we've had on as guests, I feel that this is a really it was a very natural progression for most people.
Very organic, yeah.
Yeah, where you it truly came from the heart, something that you were good at, and you did it for fun first, and you made it into your profession. And that is so important in like I know I got off track, but I love that because it just shows that you're passionate about what you do, because you didn't get into it for a business. You got into it because you truly love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was one of those things too, like at the time, all my friends were starting to get engaged. Like we were having weddings every weekend, sometimes double weddings, and I just used that as research. Like I would be like, when I got the invitations, looking at the invitations, when we were at the weddings, looking at all the stationery, and it was just giving me just so much motivation. But I do have a little bit, I am a little tied to it. My father actually, I grew up, my father owned his own print shop. So I actually grew up in the print shop, but this is back in the day, so not like the big digital printers they have today, but the ones where you would really put the ink on, you'd have to clean it down. So I remember as a little girl going to, bring your daughter to work day with my dad at the print shop, and just, I guess that's where my love of paper started. But then it transitioned. He became a teacher after, but like, so now when I work with different printers, and I mostly use local printers, it almost feels like home for me when I'm going in there and I'm talking with them, and I'm able to like, tell them about my childhood, and we already have a little bit of a bond because a lot of local printers, it is a family business that's been passed down.
Oh, so it's
through
like
generations.
melding of the two things. Like you found your own version of something that you knew from birth, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is really fun. And it's funny when I talk to my dad because it was such a different world back then. Like social media marketing, digital marketing, like none of that stuff existed when he had his business. So it's not always apples to apples, but the entrepreneurial spirit definitely, I think, runs in the family, and then, the paper thing. So it's I'm kind of like moonwalking in my dad's footsteps, not going directly, but like some sort of iteration of.
So you started back in 2013. Now you have a full-blown business. Like, what kind of printing processes do you do? What do you specialize in? Like, talk to us about your specific company.
And wait, how long have you been in business at this point?
So I would say 6 years. So I would say like officially 2014. And that's kind of where it took off too. I went to some like local events and The Knot had an event. And that's when I realized like I was like, people have businesses and have families that are like supported by these businesses all through the wedding industry. And it was like a light bulb that went off. And I talked to so many different people and I realized this could be a thing. And then I had a really good opportunity. The Knot took a chance on me with one of their local events, letting me do the stationery for them, bartered with doing some free advertising. And that's really when it took off. And I started like, when you first work with somebody who's not connected with you, either through a friend of a friend or Facebook, that's when you're like, okay, now I'm a business.
Yeah.
Strangers
this is a real thing.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say 2014 is when it really became something.
That's exciting.
Love it. And it's you're humble about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's for me, it's even when I'm meeting with clients, it's the most amazing thing. It's a milestone in their life. It's their love story and a part of their history. And yes, I'm a small part of it, but I'm just so honored to be a part of it. Like I just get really excited. Like I was married, my goodness, almost 3 years now we've been married. And I almost feel like even with my clients today, I could just live vicariously through them and all the jitters and
do it all over again.
Yeah, totally.
Can you walk us through the process? So, brand new client, getting married, and first of all, is it weddings only? Do you also do other big events like big birthday parties, bat mitzvah, bar mitzvah, that type of thing?
Yeah, I do custom invitations. My tagline used to be for all life celebrations. But it started just like kind of gravitating more towards weddings and being business minded. I was like, okay, let me niche down. But I do other parties. So I do bridal showers, I do baby showers. I love when my couples that I did their weddings, now they're asking me for baby shower invites, 30th birthday parties. I've also done some work with some nonprofits like Susan G. Komen. I've done one of their big fundraising corporate events. So anything and everything. Like if you need design, just graphic design, or if you need paper, anything, let's make beautiful things. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah. Fun. I love that. So it's creative. There's a huge amount of creativity that goes into it. So talk to us about how you and a couple will come together to find what is going to work for them and all the different components.
Sure. So everything I do, I run my business very custom. Like that's my whole motto. It's like customize your wedding stationery experience. So I really like to get to know the couples that I'm working with. I do have this home studio, so I do local complimentary in-person consultations where we can really go through samples and swatches. You could feel things and open things and really have that experience.
And where is your studio? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Where are you?
Yeah, sorry. I'm in Jersey City.
Oh, great.
Oh, you're right
around the corner.
Yeah. Street parking mostly available. But yeah, so I do offer that. And that's really, I think, where the magic happens, because it's also learning about the couple, their wedding vibe. Like that's really what I want to understand. Like why did you fall in love with the venue? What do you want your guests to feel? Because I really think, especially your invitation, it sets the tone for your wedding day. So before guests get there and see all the beautiful centerpieces and all the time, money, and effort you put into your wedding, they're going to see your invitation and have an idea of like the investment they're making, if they're traveling, how they're dressing, how they're gifting. So, I try to take all that in. So I get to know the couple, get to know their individual style. And then we just walk through. I tell them all about different printing techniques because there's so many, different style of invitations because there's so many. I also ask them what their budget is. So then I could come up with solutions that kind of marry, pun intended, all those different things.
So what is like a super basic printing technique and what's a very extravagant printing technique?
So it's definitely like a scale. So the most basic would be digital flat printing. That's like, and I call it also like flat card. So just a flat card digitally printed. Step up from there would be like a white ink printing. because that comes at a different price point because it's different type of printing technique. Then would be thermography printing. Thermography is that raised ink that when you run your finger over it, has a little bit of nice shine to it. It works really well with pictures. Then you get more into like the foil printing, the letterpress printing, the embossing, things that are a little bit more of a premium process because they're super, super custom where they need to create a plate. So that's what we would call like offset printing. And that's where like the brunt of the costs come from, is creating this, it could be copper magnesium plate that then gets stamped into the paper.
Do they get to keep it?
They can. Yeah, it's once it's created, it's created. So like even with like sometimes like thank yous or menus, if I've created a plate in the past, I will keep it to see if somebody wants to use it. Then it could be at a little bit of a lower price point because it's already been created. So, but yeah, they could totally create it. Or I've done like monograms and stuff that people then will put on their invitation and then use in their menu or their program. So you can totally reuse that.
Oh, I love that.
I had a person that the girl that I ended up working with, she had her own sample of my invitation. She shredded it and put it into, she created a clear Christmas ornament for me.
I do that.
You
I
do that too? It's so cool.
Yes.
How cool is that?
Oh, I love that.
Fun.
So I have that.
What a kind gift. That's so thoughtful.
Yeah. So cute.
It's fun. And then Jeannie, right, when you shake it, you can see like different words or different,
I love it. Every time we put the Christmas tree up, it's one of my favorites. I really, I'm getting a little giddy. No, but I remember it. Mm-hmm. I love it.
I do that for my couples, or if they want to gift it to their parents. A lot of times,
oh, that's nice.
Gift it as like a Christmas present, and then sometimes because I do a little bit of hand lettering too, so I can write on the bottom of it like the date and everything. Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, how many clients do you meet with per week? And my part B to that is, what would you say, or could you say, is the most popular type of printing process that couples end up moving forward with?
So the most popular one, I mean, I'm a foil girl. Like I love a little bit of shine. So I do think that a lot of my couples also, because what you promote also a lot of times is what attracts people.
Yeah.
So I typically do a lot of foil and a lot of letterpress. But it also depends on the individual style, right? So I also do a lot of flat printing as well. I do some acrylic. Acrylic's also another, that's like etching if we're getting into other printing techniques. But a lot of people do gravitate towards the foil or the letterpress. It just gives that either elegant, if you have an elegant vibe, a little vintage vibe with the letterpress, if you want something that feels a little bit more like matte and subtly elegant.
Yeah.
I would say those are the two.
So it's all about like texture, right? So it's about what it feels like, what it looks like, if it's raised, if it's not. There's a lot of like visual, but then it's also what it feels like and how heavy it is, I would imagine.
Yeah, all that goes into it. Because for me, like so as part of my process too, I do provide my couples before we go to print with I call it a printed prototype proof. So it might not be exactly so it's digitally printed. So if you are doing letterpress or foiling, it's a way of proofreading it one more time before we create that plate that I was just talking about that could, is the brunt of the cost. But then they could also see it. So they'll get it in the mail and open it up and see it as their guests see it. So I also think your invitation's a little bit of a reveal, right? So it's you take it out of the envelope, if there's a liner, all those little things go into it. Maybe I'm slightly like obsessed because I think I'm probably one of the few people that nerd out to this stuff, but so if there's a belly band, so you want to it's all like the layers on top of layers without, to your point earlier, Jeannie, what you were saying, it was just like a lot of papers.
Yeah.
I also like pockets, or like they back pockets, they things that you could do to organize it so it doesn't feel like it's like paper explosion.
So they could put their directions to the church, directions to the venue, like all of these different, aspects of their day get organized nicely in different ways in the invites.
Yeah, and I also try to reduce the number of cards too. So my standard invitation suite is the main invitation, which is all about the ceremony itself. That's about the marriage. I do a wedding day details card, which sums up everything. So if you're not getting married at the same venue that your reception's at, it'll give you reception information, maybe
so
some
smart
hotel information. Yeah, and it could be double-sided too, because I think the less cards you have, the bigger risk that they're going to get misplaced. And then people are like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So yeah, so typically 3, and then an RSVP card.
It gets, speaking personally, it gets really heavy for your magnet. You know, when you have like so many layers underneath a magnet on your fridge, you're like, let me choose which one is staying because it's getting too heavy. It's going to fall down. So is there a lot of etiquette that goes into, I remember when we were doing our invitation, it came down to etiquette. How are we wording this? Who is the way you introduce yourselves, like who is inviting you, the guests, is who's paying for the wedding. And it was a strange way to put it out there because we were both adults and, you know, established in our careers. We paid for our own wedding, and but our parents did contribute. So that always came down to, how do you word this? So what can you tell our couples about, you know, the right information? Do you lead them through that process? Is it stuff they can find on the internet? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like so many blogs and like resources out there. I mean, there's rules of thumb, but at the end of the day, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. And also what's ever going to bring you the least amount of drama. So it could be a touchy point, you know, especially like, I know for me personally, you know, my parents are divorced. My dad is remarried. Like my husband's parents are still together. So I opted to just go together with our families because I wanted to be all inclusive. I didn't want anyone to feel left out. And I also didn't want like a laundry list of names when, you know, again, we paid for the majority of our wedding as well. But it's a little formula based. So I have a whole questionnaire I ask to gather all information. So then I provide them, my couples, with like, here's 2 wedding wording options. Because one of my other questions is, you know, it's who's hosting or contributing to your wedding, on a scale from 1 to 10. How formal do you want the wedding invitation to be? Because if you're opting more for like a less formal, you're doing more of like a backyard, you know, reception, you might not want to opt for like the honor of your presence. You know, that's more for if you're getting married in a religious, you know, affiliation.
I like what you said, that it's like a introduction to what's in store. A little preview. Is if it's formal, then that gives you an idea of the type of event that you're about to attend. And if it's super casual, if you're getting emailed your invitation, you kind of know. No, so it's
you're modern. You're like a trendsetter.
Yeah,
super modern with the times.
I love that. And also, what about like other stuff? So like you've got the invitation, the RSVP card comes in there with a little date on when to respond. By the way, you always put a date, right? Like, please respond. You know, is it like regrets only, or is it how many? That's my question. What do you do if you don't want somebody to bring a guest? So what's the etiquette for that?
Oh, I get this. I don't want someone to bring a guest. I don't want any children at my wedding besides like my, you know, niece who's my flower girl. Like I get all these questions. So there's a lot of like ways that you can do it without feeling like you're being totally rude and like being like, no. So I always say, first off, how you address the person. If you have "and guest," that signals there's a guest.
Done.
But if you still think that somebody is going to pull a fast one on you and bring somebody, there's a lot of things that you could do on your RSVP card. And again, because everything I do is custom, so it's not templated, you want to collect any information you need. So I sometimes will have, you know, number attending there. And I've even done ones that have been blank of blank, where people have said like blank of 2, blank of 3. So they've even been like that direct with how many people are being invited.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Another way, like you could be like, please reserve blank number of seats on our shuttle if you have a shuttle. So then you can get an idea of how many people are coming. I've also used RSVP card to do a whole lot of other things too. Like if you're having a morning after brunch, or you're having like a welcome weekend drinks cocktail thing the night before, you can get all this information on your RSVP card. Like it doesn't have to be just the wedding. We actually did, for my own wedding, we did help us pick our wedding hashtag. And on the back of our RSVP, we had like 3 different hashtags for people to vote for, or
so
they could
clever.
write in their own. And like some of our friends were like super creative and inappropriate, which was like fun, but it made it a little bit more interactive. So then when we got our RSVPs back in the mail, it was like super exciting to see who the winner is. And then we did a big reveal the day of our wedding, like, here's the hashtag, use it.
Oh, that's cute. Very clever.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of our couples are listening to that. That's a good idea.
Ideas.
Yeah. Come with it.
So now, do you do like place card settings? And, you know, we did talk to a florist, and she said that sometimes she'll do that for some of her clients. But to me, it sounds more along the lines. It was a surprise because I always imagined it to come from the invitation. Do you have a title like invitationeur or what?
I've heard a bunch. I know. It's like, even when I'm doing like hashtags on Instagram, I'm like, what do I call myself? Invitation designers. I've heard stationer used before.
Yeah, like you have a florist, you have a photographer, you have a
that's true. Invitatee.
Yes,
that's right.
Oh, I like that. Sounds like very fancy.
That's right. So you do all of those.
Yep, I do all day of stationery. So I really try to say, like, I can help you through your entire wedding planning process. And what's good is I do a lot of my couples day of stationery because by then I know your style. And if you're not getting, because most RSVPs normally come back 1 month before the date. That's kind of the rule of thumb, unless for whatever reason your venue needs it sooner than that. So you're getting your RSVPs, then you're doing your table seating. So it's kind of a scramble. So I tell people, I got you. I know your style. So just like, I'll be able to get done very, very quickly for you, because we already established all of the look and feel. And then it's cohesive. So then you also have a whole cohesive look.
Like a theme.
To all your stationery, which is nice.
And how far in advance would you recommend that couples, send out their invitations?
So normally I would say 10 weeks out. That's always what I think is etiquette-wise a good timing, as well as enough time if you have, say you have a B list, or, some people move in the process and you get it back and then you need to resend. So 10 weeks is always a nice time. The rule of thumb is like 8 to 10 weeks.
So if I get an invite like 6 weeks in advance of a wedding, it's an obvious I was a B list, right?
Possibly. I'm not going to say that, because really it's like you could do like 8 weeks is really the time frame. I like to add it like a little bit of a buffer.
Couple of weeks, yeah.
It could also be the post office. Mail is weird and tricky, and sometimes I'll send things out, because I do sometimes do fulfillment services for my couples, where I'll like either curate the stamps if we're doing cool stamps like vintage stamps, and I'll stuff it and mail it. Sometimes people in other states will get it the next day. Sometimes people the next town over, it'll be like a week and a half, because it depends how big of a post office they have, and mail is weird. Yeah. So don't be too offended. Don't be too offended. They want you there. They definitely want you there.
Second thought.
Yeah. It's like, how many days before the wedding is this? Oh, I'll show you B list. No.
Sure. And I always do appreciate like a ceremony program as well, because you don't know what you're in for. If you're not familiar with the culture or the religion, it could be 20 minutes. It could be a couple of hours. So it's really nice to have a program where you're like, okay, you're checking off like, okay, we got through those songs. This is when are we getting to the vows? So those are really nice to have too. I'm glad you do those.
Yeah, I do all sorts for all different like type of ceremonies. I think I have one right here too that is like in a different, oh no, that's not that. I have ones that like say some of it is in Portuguese. Here's the Portuguese and then the English translation.
Oh, wow.
So also you can follow along. I've done like bilingual. But yeah, just so you know what steps. And then I've also done fun ones that are like, let's get this party started, like get information, like very like having fun with it. Also, you could be like, this is a unplugged ceremony. Put your phones away. It could be right there. I also do signage as well. So some people prefer programs that they can hold. Other people like a little bit of a welcome sign that has the wedding party there. So it's really whatever people want. Like, I'm one of those people, I'll give, like, here's kind of typically what people ask for, but no idea. I always say, like, it's all over my like website and everything. I say no idea is too big or too small. Like, see something on Pinterest, let's do it.
I was going to
say, as a designer,
I wonder how far people go. Like, have you ever made a menu at the reception?
Oh yeah.
You'll do that
I make a
too?
ton of menus. I've actually even done like so I do also like welcome bag sometimes
Oh, you do those
itineraries.
too. That's so cool.
Yeah, but I've
Mhm.
even done one time it was a couple who they're from Hoboken, but they got married at Liberty House in Jersey City.
Mhm.
So people were staying local. So we did a map of Hoboken and all their favorite spots, like their favorite pizza place, their favorite
That's
Oh, I
bagel shop.
so
love
cute.
it.
Yeah, so while people were like,
I
in
love
town for the
that. Yeah.
weekend, yeah. So you can be totally creative, get personal with it. Like I always
So
challenge my
cute.
couples too, like what can you do that feels different, that feels unique to you? Like
Yeah.
this is your wedding. So how do we bring that to life?
So I
And it's
guess
also convenient too. Like there's so many things that you can check off the list
Yeah.
after meeting with you that they don't have to worry about.
Yeah,
so
and it's
I'm sorry.
oh go ahead.
No, please go.
No, I was just saying, and it's all just it's fun. It's really fun. So I tell people like wedding planning is stressful. We know. Like I always tell my couples, like I think part of what I do is sometimes just being, I call it. That's why I say Sophie's here for dog therapy because it's stressful. You like sometimes people just need an ear to vent, to. But I tell people, I'm like, if you could just take yourself out of all the stress for a minute, like let's make it fun. Let's like really have a good time with it. Like this is one part that I really don't want you to stress over because it's all about the wedding. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but I remember like even the day of I was like, oh my goodness, this is the best day ever. Like all those little bumps in the road were nothing because
Yeah.
look around and the room is filled with everybody who loves you, and it's just like a loving
Yeah.
loving time. So I don't know, that's me getting sentimental.
No, I love
Aw.
it. I love it. So would you and I mean I'm just you're bringing back memories, but anyway, would you agree that uh the best advice you can give couples when it comes to making a decision about their wedding invitation is pretty much aligning it with who they are, I guess, as a couple. Putting something out there that, really reflects their love and how they are together.
Absolutely. So you definitely, because that's what your wedding is too, right? Your wedding is like basically representation of
Mhm.
your love story and this milestone. So, even when couples show me inspiration, because I always say bring inspiration, whether that's Pinterest boards, whether that's actually physical things that you've gotten in the mail, I will also collect, through my little question, getting to know them, collect all this information that'll show them some wild cards, just like throw that out there just to see. And sometimes people are surprised with what they gravitate towards. It's almost like what they thought that they should do because they're like, I'm doing a rustic wedding. This is what it needs to be. And then they're like, oh no, this feels like us. This really speaks to me and like is a
Mhm.
representation. So yeah, I say it's all about you. It's all about the couple. So it should all speak to you both. So
It's great. So it's
try to
not just cookie
yeah.
cutter like we'll have A and we'll do B for our save the dates. Sort of, it's super super custom and personal.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
love
starting
that.
to realize that like because now I've worked with like over 250 couples now, so I have that many just designs that are sitting on a hard drive. So I'm starting to think through like maybe doing some semi-custom, like ones that have been fan favorites that seems like a lot of people want similar fonts or similar layouts, just to give people options,
Mhm.
also thinking budget-wise. But otherwise, yes, everything I do is completely custom, like from scratch. So,
Do
and the thing is
Awesome.
too, it doesn't like I do my in-person consultations, but last year I worked with my first couple in London.
Oh,
I've worked with
wow.
people all over the place because I don't have to be there. And
Yeah.
shipping, UPS loves me because you can just ship anywhere. So you can also do it all through phone, email. I do it's a different process, but I have a whole process if we're doing like more virtual.
Got it. Yeah, because if you can't touch it, then I guess you have to tell them about the paper and then they can go think, I don't know, go see it somewhere.
Well, and then I could also, and then sometimes what I'll do is I'll send things afterwards. So after I get to know everything about them, I might then like curate
Send a
down a small
sample.
sample, like
That's
different,
smart.
like so they can
Mhm.
feel like this is the paper we talked about. This is the printing technique we talked about. Does that still feel like what you were
That would work. I
thinking?
didn't even think about that. That makes so
Yeah.
much sense.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, or like
I'm
swatches.
I'm
Um,
curious
Yeah.
too,
yeah.
like, since we spoke about, virtual meetings and also, online, um, d do you see, like, an increase in the trend in online invites these days?
Yes and no. I do think with with everything with COVID and postponements,
Mm-hmm.
I think then that was the first time I really started seeing a lot of like emailed announcements.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what happens is, and what some of my couples who were postponing ran into was they're like, I don't have everybody's email address, and I don't want people
Mm.
to not get the message. Like I don't want this to just fall in their junk or whatever, or I still want it to feel special.
Right.
So we ended up doing like more mailers, although there were some couples that like if they had a monogram designed, I designed a monogram for them. I might have sent them that. So then if they wanted to send something out like more electronically, they can use that so it still felt branded.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, not in my world.
Mm-hmm.
I do 100% recommend all my couples create a wedding website, and there's so many really easy to use templates online
Mm-hmm.
because then you put that on your save the date, you put that on your details card of your invitation, and you can make real time updates. So in that aspect, I could see that being more like digital online. And some
Mm-hmm.
people do collect RSVPs via their website. So I've done that where we didn't do an RSVP card. We just directed people
Oh,
to
Okay.
yeah.
RSVP. But no, not in my world.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I do think things will evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I haven't personally experienced too much of those asks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you,
Yeah.
and do a lot of your couples also use you for their save the dates and their thank you cards? Or do you
Yeah.
find that that is something that they can go off on their own and sort of design it simply and just get those out? Do you have like a huge percentage of your clients using you for those services as well?
It comes back to like preference, also budget. So I also tell my couples, like, say they come to me and they have a budget that's X amount, but they want this very, very elaborate invitation. They still need their save the date. I might tell them, because like again, I always say, I'm like not a salesperson, I'm a designer, I want to help you. So I might say, hey, it might make more sense if you just do something on Minted. There's a promo code I saw, get your save the date out the door, and then you can really customize your invitation
Mm-hmm.
and some of your day of stationery. I do a lot of save the dates. I do find like a lot of people still wanting custom ones. I've been doing a lot more like location based save the dates that do have to get a little bit more customized. Actually, I have like a save the date wall right there. I don't know if I can
I want
turn.
to see.
I'm, ner-
And there's
I'm,
a
ner- I'm nervous.
there's a
Should I
quote. Is that
try?
a quote behind you too?
Yeah, it says, think deeply, speak gently, love much, laugh a lot, work hard, give freely, and be
I
There
kind.
you
love it.
go. Yep.
And yeah, so those I have thank yous right there. Some that I've created, some that have just been from my guests or
Mm-hmm.
from my couples. And then it's kind of a mess in here. Here's my save the date wall if you could see it. Ta-da!
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
A lot of different
I love
varieties.
it. Yes.
Yeah, different. Oh man, my headphones fell. Different variety. And yeah, some people want pictures. If they don't have an engagement photo shoot, we could do things graphically. I've done postcard ones. So the New York one, which was really cool, it was like almost felt like a destination to a lot of people coming. So we made a double-sided postcard of it and made it very like vintage style, New York
So
City,
clever.
iconic
Love it.
landmarks.
Is that the one that said
Yeah,
New
but
York over there that we saw
yeah,
hanging? Love it. So
yeah,
for
yeah.
our listeners who are not familiar with a save the date, it does come up often, couples that'll do engagement sessions with us and they're like, "Oh wait, save the date. What?" So could you explain what that is, what the difference is with a wedding invitation and its purpose?
Yeah, it's really that like save this date, mark it on your calendar. If you do need to travel, secure it maybe with work that you might need to take like that Friday or that Monday off, depending where it's at. And normally it is just it's almost like an announcement. Like you can also use it as like an engagement announcement as well because it's like we're getting married. And yeah, I tell people if you have a wedding website, get it on there, especially for people coming out of town, because then you can have your hotels so they can get a head start on booking. And save the dates usually go out. I say anywhere from 6 to 10 months out is normal. Eight months is that sweet spot. But then if you're getting married on a holiday weekend or you're getting married destination wedding or it happens to be someplace that people have to travel to, like your guests, even if it's not a destination to you, but a lot of your guests have to travel, I would say up more for 10 months or 10 to 12 months out.
Okay.
Sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and that aligns with what we tell our clients,
especially when
right,
they're
Jeannie?
having engagement sessions and things like that. So
that's right. What's the most important thing about invitations in your opinion? Is it to make it close to you and your personalities?
I mean, they're also functional. It's really to give your couples or your guests all of the information they need to plan for this day. So yes, they're supposed to be beautiful, set the tone for your wedding, all the vibes, all that. But then the details card really needs to do the heavy lifting of all those details, which is also why I say have the wedding website on there, because you don't want people, some other people don't know wedding etiquette when it comes to like asking the bride or asking the groom questions about their wedding. Like I can't even tell you, I had a friend who got like married years before me, but it was like 2 weeks before my wedding. She was like, your room block is full. I'm like, figure it out. Like I'm getting married in 2 weeks. Are you kidding me? So I think having all that information, and then if people need it, I would just shoot them the URL to my wedding website, so that's all the information. So the more information you could put on that details card, that's why I say, even if we have to make it double-sided, you're going to be saving so much time by people having questions.
Yeah,
that's right. I love how you have a details card so it's not so crowded, because I've seen invites that are super crowded, and like, I'm sure you would advise the client, hey, let's take some of this off and put it onto a details card so that it's clean.
Yes, I said your invitation is all about the ceremony, and then leave all the reception, the party, everything else, where the accommodations should be on the details card.
Oh, okay. Was yours like that too, Jeannie?
Yes,
it was.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I said. She's bringing back memories. Yeah,
that's great. And then we didn't really talk too much about pricing. Like, what's taken into consideration when pricing the invitations? Is it paper? Is it how custom it is? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's all of the above. I can't really speak on behalf of other invitation designers or stationers, whatever you want to call us, whatever we decided on. But for me, it's all that. So what I do is I have it's a design fee, design and development fee that is flat rate. And then everything else is based off of the materials, the printing, the production, and any fulfillment you need. For example, like getting stamps and stuffing and mailing them out. So all those things come into consideration. So I don't do necessarily like it's $10 an invitation. I have it very itemized, very transparent with pricing. So it really gives the couple the control to be like, you know what, like I see the envelope liner costs X amount of dollars and we could save if we remove it, but I really love those wax seals. So like, let's keep that.
It
so
keeps it really
gives
organized.
Yeah, and it gives them control over what they want to put in it. And then I'll give like alternatives as well. So I'll be like, hey, I know that you really love this look, but say we remove this and we added this, you might save X amount of dollars. It'll bring us closer to where you want it to be originally. But based off the ideal invitation, you might see it only was another $150. If that's okay with you and your wedding budget, then let's go for it and do your ideal invitation. So yeah, it's based on all of the above. But there's options. There's always options. There's always creative solutions to get you to, I would say, marrying your vision and your budget. That's what's important to me. Yeah.
Are you finding new trends out there? I know Jeannie brought up digital, but is there a definite thing that's sort of evolved over these past years that you've had your business?
Trends? I mean, yeah, trends definitely move in and out. Like I remember when I first started, it was all about mason jars. And I don't know if you guys remember like the mason jar trend.
Yes.
So it was like,
yes.
So it was like at every wedding, centerpieces or down the aisles. It was also for me on a lot of invitations and save the dates. And then that stopped, right? And then other things come into trends, like sometimes florals come in and out. There's a lot also about what people see on Pinterest, like color palettes start getting popular. Right now I'm seeing a lot, I see a lot of jewel tones. I'm seeing like a lot of like deep, like rich colors with very like contrasting either type or like it might be like rich colors and different colors for the card. So not necessarily white with black
I've never
writing.
seen that.
Yeah, I've been seeing that, which is fun. I'm doing a couple suites like that as well, which is fun. So it really is what speaks to people. I definitely bring up trends, but I'm also like, don't feel like you need to. Some people also get scared of trends, right? Because if they're looking for something more classic and timeless, they might not opt for that, like more the modern.
They would outgrow it and not want to keep their invitation in a china cabinet.
Yeah,
for everybody
but,
to see.
But if they're modern and edgy and they, like are colorful and want to be bold with it, let's do it, and like let's have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
totally. So. Wow. Well, gosh, thank you so much for like providing all of this information. It was more educational to me because I knew zilch about invites, and you have a wealth of knowledge. There's so many different components to it.
And you forget. I mean, I remember my consultation, but I haven't the slightest idea about. I can't remember, what goes into this, and I just remember it. I know it's very involved in terms of like all the different choices and options you have. But it's great to have people like you to have this knowledge to help to break it down and make it a lot less overwhelming and just make it fun. I think that's the key. Make it fun. And you walk out of there feeling like this is truly, representative of me and my fiance, what we want. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you to our listeners as well. We want to sorry, Marlie, you were about to talk.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like I said earlier, like I nerd out to this stuff.
Yes,
I
love
it.
I love that. Yeah.
So obviously, if anyone has any other questions, you both included, I'm pretty much an open book, even with pricing and everything. So
cool.
Feel free to reach out.
Follow Marlie Renee. On Facebook and Instagram at her website. It's marliereneedesigns.com.
And Renee is spelled with 2 E's. So it's and Marlie is MarlieRenee designs.com. And also, please make sure to visit our website as well, podcast.livepicturestudios.com. And please make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram if you haven't already. The handle is @LivePictureStudios.
And rate us, please, on Apple Podcasts, because that helps us too.
You can email us too. Again, any ideas that you have, and any of our guests that have come on, please, if you think of other things that you want to add, come on back. Email us ideas, thoughts, questions. Our email is podcast@livepicturestudios.com or #LPS podcast with questions or anything else that you guys are thinking that you want to share with us.
This podcast has been produced by Kwali, Natalia Delgado, Marcia Rosa, and Mark Falcon, and our editor, Nicole Palmetti.
And music has been provided by Ian Post and Artlist. Until next time, thank you, goodbye, and of course, happy planning.
Bye, guys.